Hello everyone and welcome to Total War News. Today's news is not about Total War, it's about HYENAS. And at 5 o'clock this morning Eastern Standard Time, the parent company of the Creative Assembly announced that HYENAS has been canceled. Now, many of you out there may have no idea what this game is, but it is a group looter shooter developed by the Creative Assembly and their console division over the last several years. It's had a couple different play sessions over the course of the year, and none of the reviews of it have been frankly very good. Most have called it the most cynical thing they've ever played in their life, as you compete to rob merch from a space station. There were some fun ideas in it, but it seemed like a game that was several years too late in chasing trends that are no longer relevant. So Sega appears to be cutting their losses here. But exactly how much they're cutting is a little bit more concerning. In this video, we're going to go into what that means and likely how it's going to affect the Creative Assembly and future Total War games. The official statement from Sega-Sammy, who own the Creative Assembly, is that they are adjusting their position, which is a fancy legal term for they don't think they're going to make the same amount of money that they told their investors earlier in the year, and so they have to declare that. It's the amount of money that's really important here. They're expecting a $95 million shortfall, which, when you consider that the Creative Assembly's entire operating budget for the year is only $110 million, you can see that there's going to be some serious problems here. And it's not just HYENAS that's on the axing block. There are several unannounced titles that are apparently also being cut, which implies deep layoffs inside the studio. And there unfortunately is a precedent for this. Company of Heroes, which was released by Relic Entertainment, is also owned by Sega-Sammy. And when the game didn't perform to expectations last year, they reduced staff size from 300 to 150, effectively halving their workforce. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that bad inside the Creative Assembly, but the actual wording says they are restructuring and specifically cutting losses. So it does seem there are going to be layoffs, and all the words that I've heard is that there is a mandatory all-staff meeting today at the company to kind of talk about what the future is going to hold. And I know many of you are probably excited HYENAS got canceled. It was diverting resources away from games you were enjoying. And I'd encourage you to remember that most of the people that work at these companies are just people trying to get by like you and me. Any of the C-suite CEOs are going to be affected by any of this, even though it's their decisions that put this company into the predicament it's in now. Sega-Sammy cites a weakening outlook in the European game market and a general disinterest in the products that are being made, which clearly we've seen over the last year. But what's unique here is they are decidedly fixating on the Creative Assembly to solve this. The company itself has grown to over 900 employees in the last 3 years, acquiring CA Sofia and recently launching another northern studio as an extension of itself. It's basically become so large that I think it's like 25 or 30% of Sega-Sammy's entire portfolio is based on their products and the back catalog, which is a bit of a dangerous position to be in because the tail can very quickly start wagging the dog, and Sega seems to realize this. The Creative Assembly has traditionally been divided into several departments, with the console division, who are making HYENAS, being its own separate environment because it requires different coding languages, different experience, and generally a different way of making things as opposed to the other Total War titles. So it's definitely possible that entire division could be axed during. So while people say, oh, this was diverting resources away from Total War, I mean, it kind of was in that there were people doing things there and money was going towards it, but the reality was it's just a shared art department who need to be kept busy anyway. The entirety of CA Sofia has been working on the upcoming game Pharaoh, but with the full-priced $60 game itself not even breaking the top 100 in Steam charts or wish lists, it's not a good sign of how it's going to perform going forward, and so it's no wonder that Sega is trying to adjust its position now to get ahead of this. I expect we'll hear a good deal more about this in the very near future, about the specifics, but for now, the CEO of the Creative Assembly has confirmed that layoffs are happening and are coming. So to anyone at the Creative Assembly who unfortunately got that news today, thank you for years of making wonderful products, and we wish you the best.